So we are doing another road trip from Manchester to Cornwall. Now, I'm not going to make this a full video quite like the last one, but I will give you a little tour of what we do in St Ives. But I wanted to do a little follow-up video because it was almost exactly a year ago that we did our last trip from Manchester to St Ives. So I want to see if anything's changed. Has anything changed in terms of the range of the car? What's the supercharging like now? Is it easier or harder? I do know there's a few more superchargers in Cornwall since we last went there. So it's going to be interesting to see the major differences between this journey and that journey. Now, when we left last time, it was cold, but it was super sunny. Today, it's super rainy, it's horrible weather, and it already looks like there's a bit of traffic. So let's start the journey and we'll see how we get on. Let's put in our destination. So it's saying we've got about 170 miles to our first supercharge. We're starting now with 86%. We should get there with 21%, but let's see how accurate this is this time around.
Okay, so this is the fourth time I've actually driven this journey to Cornwall in my Tesla Model 3, but a full year has now passed since I put out that first road trip video, which you can watch by clicking up in the corner, and I thought it would be good to revisit this again. Now, looking back at the original video, it was surprising how few chargers there were in Cornwall at the time, and I can confirm the situation is now a lot better, as there are many more supermarket chargers, and there's also a dedicated Tesla Supercharger in Redroof too, so you'll never be stuck without a full charge on a road trip down that way ever again.
So we're about 45 minutes into the journey and the weather is absolutely terrible, as you can see. So just a little update, we're still heading to Gordano. It did try to change the Supercharge to the Bristol, I think it's the Cribbs Causeway, I'm not sure, but I thought just to try and be fair with this journey, I just want to try and compare it like for like. So we are going to still try and go to the Gordano services. If we get close and it says that the superchargers are full, I will of course go to the Bristol one. So we'll see how that goes on, but it's a pretty slow bit of moving traffic today. Heavy rain, pretty hard to see, but we'll keep you updated. Look at this. Okay, so we're some way into our journey now. We're about 36 miles away from the Gordano services. As you can see, it's still a bit grey, but at least it's stopped raining. So far it's been a good journey, actually very, very similar to the last journey we had to Cornwall, where it was like 50-mile-an-hour parts, but so far it's been pretty smooth. So what we're going to do now is look at the trip graph. It's saying we're going to arrive at Gordano services with 14% battery. If my mind serves me right, I think we arrived with 31% last time, so quite a bit of a difference there. Obviously we started with a bit less battery, so maybe there's kind of like a 10% difference. So make of that what you will. We'll get to the superchargers in Gordano shortly and we'll just see what they're like. I'm interested to see, are they a lot busier now? I mean, it's only a Wednesday midday, so it's not like a peak time like on a Friday or a Saturday, but we'll see how busy they are when we get there. Okay, so we were nearly at the Gordano services, and then I noticed that the Tesla maps quickly changed it to the Bristol Cribbs Causeway. So I looked on the map, and you can see that here. It's because all of the Gordano superchargers are now full, so it wouldn't actually be possible to stop there. So it's kind of a good and a bad thing. It's a bad thing in a way because it's showing that it's a little bit more difficult to get a charge, but it's good because if there is another supercharger nearby, Tesla knows that and it will direct you around to get a charge somewhere else, which is pretty handy. When we first did the drive, they were just putting in the Cribbs Causeway ones, so you know, it's interesting to see that it is getting busier and busier, but we're going to head there anyway. It's the right thing to do. So we'll catch up when we get to the Bristol Cribbs Causeway superchargers.
The Cribbs Causeway chargers are very well hidden. The Tesla maps don't seem to take you directly to them, so every single time we come here, I seem to forget my way and end up driving around the car park for a little while. This little place is a great stop if you maybe want to do a little bit of shopping and really break up your journey.
So we're in the Bristol Cribbs Causeway as we couldn't get a charge at the Gordano services. So it's kind of crazy now that it's getting that busy that you can't get a supercharge. We would of course have had to queue like we mentioned. So We're now in the Bristol Cribbs Causeway getting a charge. Let's have a look inside the car and see what speeds we're getting. The pro of stopping here, I guess, is that there's more places to eat when you have your charge. But let's check inside the car and see what charge and speeds we're getting. Okay, so it says we've got 25 minutes left to continue our trip, and we're pulling 170 kilowatts, which is pretty good, pretty nice speeds here. I'm going to take it up to 90%, but let's go grab some lunch. Okay, so we're back in the car, and I actually had to change the charging level up a little bit because we were getting very close to when it cuts off, and it's quite a big shopping centre, so we walked all the way down, got a prep, and I pretty much had to sprint back. So the wife's grabbing some bits and pieces for St Ives, and we're back in the car, so we're at 94%. We're now on our way to St Ives. Now we could get all the way to St Ives on the charge level we've got now, but I actually want to charge just a little bit at the Lifton Supercharger, just to break up the journey a little bit as well, because we've got a few hours to go. So we're going to stop there for a coffee and a top up, and then we've got lots of juice whilst we're in St Ives. So we'll see you there.
So our next stop was at the Lifton Superchargers, and this is a great spot if you really want some nice food when you're charging. Now, I didn't get a chance to film this, but there is a place in the same village called Strawberry Fields, I believe, and it has 2 rapid pod point chargers, which are really handy. So if you want another option and you don't want to use a Tesla Supercharger or they're full, you could also stop there too. After a quick charge and a caffeine boost, we continued our journey onto St Ives. And as I mentioned in my previous video, I really enjoyed this part of the journey, as you get to see a lot of water, some rolling hills, and loads of countryside. So it feels much less stressful than the first part of the journey. And the weather was much better too.
So we're just pulling up in Carbis Bay, about to head into St Ives, and it's a lovely blue evening. It's always nice when you leave Manchester and it's grey, and then you arrive here and it's just beautiful blue skies. It's a good omen for the weekend. So we're now going to find the little apartment we've rented for the next couple of days and get our bags in and go for a little walk around. Okay, so we have just arrived at our apartment in St Ives, and we've arrived with 61% battery left and 203 miles left in the battery. So now I think it's time to check in and then go and explore St Ives.
So we checked into a lovely small apartment for the weekend, and as we usually do, it was around 6 PM, so we popped out for a little walk around the town just to go for a nice beer, some nice food, and to check out the beautiful blue sea of St Ives. So we're now walking down to the food festival. What are you looking forward to trying first?
Oh, loads of stuff. I'm hoping there's some really nice fish, maybe some Mexican. Definitely want some drinks as well.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go for a couple of beers. Nice bit of fish. I've heard the Mexican's good. We went to Sea of Coffee.
Yeah.
And the lady there told us there's a really great Mexican here, so we're gonna keep a good lookout for that.
Yeah, just gonna try as much as we can.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to share stuff so we can eat more stuff, basically, so we can try loads of different things.
Okay, this is the St Ives Food and Drink Festival. Tons of the best food from Cornwall and around the world. And you've also got a load of drinks, music, cooking lessons, and tons more stuff to see. And well, what a setting. This is held every year on Porthminster Beach, and even though we've been to this area tons of times before, it was actually our first time visiting the St Ives Festival. And we honestly had the best time. It's on for a full 3 days, and you also get some live music and bands playing into the night.
St Ives Food Festival. Definitely recommend it if you're ever down this neck of the woods when it's next on. We're now going to drive back to Manchester. It's a beautiful day here, 20 degrees. Just been to the beach, really roasting now walking up these hills. And you can tell I'm in Cornwall because I've had the honorary seagull plop all over the car. So I need to get that cleaned because it's absolutely everywhere. But anyway, let's get in the car and head back to Manchester.
First part of the journey was actually really nice weather and just a nice cruising speed. So we opted to stop at the Lifton Supercharger once again, just a great place to stop. But unfortunately, the coffee shop was closed, so we were absolutely gagging for a coffee and a bite to eat. So we quickly charged to 80% and then headed on to the Michaelwood Superchargers instead.
We've just arrived at the Michaelwood northbound Superchargers and it's actually completely full. We were just lucky we got the last space. So we're going to plug in now. We're on 14%, go for a quick coffee and then head on our way to Manchester.
Okay, so here's where things have really changed. Supercharging on the first road trip was roughly half the price before, at around 22 pence per kilowatt hour on average. A year on, and it's now 48 pence per kilowatt hour on all of the Tesla Superchargers that I went to, which means the trip in total would cost you a lot more. Okay, so let's take a look at the costs. We arrived at the Cribbs Causeway and we were down to 14%. So we took it back up to 93% at a cost of £28.46. Then we arrived at the Lifton Superchargers with 42% battery and took it back up to 90%. That cost £17.28. On the way back, we arrived back at Lifton with 19% and then topped up to 80% as the coffee shop was shut. I would normally go to 90%, and that cost £21.98. The next stop was at the Michaelwood Supercharger. We arrived here with 14% battery and charged to 80%. That cost us £23.76. And then finally, when I got back to Manchester, because I don't have a home charger, I topped up at the Manchester Trafford Centre. We arrived with 20% and took it all the way back up to 90%. And that was roughly what we left with as well. So this is what the total cost of the journey would have been. And the total cost would have been £115.24 in total, there and back, a return journey. So that's a 530-mile journey at a cost of £115.24. Now, just for reference, in my previous Mercedes C250 CDI, I used to get around 45 miles per gallon on average. Now, I could actually get higher than that and get 60 miles per gallon, but for this journey, let's call it 45 miles per gallon, and let's say diesel is at £1.85 a litre. So this journey in that Mercedes would have cost £132.06. So actually, the saving of the Tesla isn't as big as it used to be, especially if you're having to rely solely on the supercharging network. Now, of course, some of you may know that I used to own a Jaguar F-Type and I would get around 25 miles per gallon for this journey, so that would have cost me around £230. So a huge saving there, but of course that is a sports car.
The only downside I would say to this journey compared to the last Cornwall journey was that the superchargers are definitely getting a lot busier. So you saw on the way down, we were heading for the Gordano services. They were full, so the Tesla redirected us to the other superchargers. And then on the way back, when we stopped at the Michaelwood services, we were the last car to get in, and then a couple of people started to queue for the superchargers. So it is getting busier. As you can see here, it's completely dead. I mean, there's tons of chargers here in Manchester, but it is now nearly 9 p.m. at night, so you wouldn't expect them to be this busy. So all I would say is still loving the Tesla, still loving it for long journeys. If you can charge at home, it's fantastic. But of course, the only minor downside I'm seeing at the moment is because of the amazing popularity of these cars, the superchargers are getting more and more busy. Let me know in the comment section below what you're seeing when you're doing these long road trips. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to check out last year's Cornwall road trip or my other videos, which you can see by clicking up here in the corner or down in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.